Just two souls trying to find warmth not only from the heater in the room, but from each other. Outside, the snow kept falling. But inside that tiny home, something far more important had begun to thaw. The silence between them wasn't uncomfortable. It was tender, like the hush that falls after a storm. Emily could still feel the chill in her limbs. But Rachel's hand holding hers gave her a strange sense of safety she hadn't felt in months, maybe even years. "How long did you stay up?" Emily asked, her voice still raspy. He didn't have to ask. "But why?" Emily whispered. "You didn't have to. You're not even our real mom." Rachel took a deep breath. "You're right. I'm not your birth mother. But that doesn't mean I'm not your mother." She leaned forward, her voice steady. "Love isn't measured by blood, Emily. It's measured by who shows up, who stays when it's hard, and who chooses you every single day." A tear slipped down Emily's cheek, unexpected and hot. "You stayed," she said. "I will always stay," Rachel replied. "Even if you never call me mom again. Even if you hate me some days. I'm here." Emily didn't say anything for a moment. She just leaned over and wrapped her arms around Rachel's shoulders, awkward, trembling, but real. Rachel hugged her back, both of them surprised by the weight and warmth of the gesture. From the stairwell, a small voice interrupted. "Are you guys hugging without me?" Lily stood in her oversized pajamas, holding her stuffed rabbit, blinking sleepily. Emily looked over and held out one arm. "Come here, sleepyhead." Lily ran over, climbing onto the couch and squeezing in between them like she had a birthright to the space. And maybe she did. Rachel laughed, kissing the top of both girls' heads. Outside, the wind was still blowing flurries across the lawn. But inside, something had shifted, something unspoken, fragile, and precious. It was the beginning of a new kind of family. One built not on expectation or obligation, but on quiet choices, long nights, and three hearts slowly learning how to beat as one. And as Rachel tucked the blanket tighter around her two girls, whispering promises she would keep for a lifetime, Emily closed her eyes and thought. Maybe love isn't about who gave you life. Maybe it's about who gives you warmth when the world turns cold. Chapter 2. The Unread Letter. 3 weeks had passed since the night of the fever. Winter had settled into Portland like a stubborn guest, refusing to leave. The sky remained overcast, and the roads were slick with ice. Inside the Carter home, however, things had begun to thaw not just in the heater vents, but in the silence between the three of them. Emily no longer avoided Rachel in the kitchen. Lily started calling her Mommy Rachel without hesitation. And Rachel, who had once tiptoed through the house like an intruder, finally allowed herself to laugh at breakfast, to braid Lily's hair while humming soft tunes, to place a hand on Emily's shoulder when passing by. But healing was not linear. It was tender and slow. On a particularly cold Saturday afternoon, Emily was cleaning out the hallway closet, one of those "I'll-get-to-it-one-day" places stuffed with half-forgotten items, winter coats, old board games, a box of Christmas lights with broken bulbs. At the very back, behind an old shoebox marked junk, she found a thick envelope wedged between the shelves. It was yellowed, sealed, and dusty. Her name, Emily Carter, was written in neat, unfamiliar cursive on the front. Frowning, she turned it over. No return address. The postmark was almost faded but barely visible. Seattle, Washington. 9 years ago. Her heart paused. Seattle. That was where Monica, her birth mother, lived. She glanced behind her. The house was quiet. Rachel and Lily were out shopping for groceries. Emily sat down on the cold wooden floor and stared at the envelope. Why had this letter never been given to her? With trembling hands, she broke the seal. Inside was a single sheet of paper lined with writing that seemed both rushed and painfully intentional. She began to read. Dear Emily, I know you might not remember me, or if you do, it's probably not kindly. I don't blame you. When I left, You were only 3. Lily had just turned 1. Your father and we were broken, and I wasn't strong enough to stay. That's the truth. But I have always loved you. Every birthday. Every Christmas. Every scraped knee, I wondered. Did you fall in love with stars? Did you lose your first tooth? Did you cry at night? Did someone hold you when you did? I have made more mistakes than most mothers get the chance to fix. But I'm writing this because I hope one day, just one day, you'll let me explain. Not to erase the past. Just to tell you my truth. I'm living in Seattle now. I don't expect anything. I just hope you're warm, safe, and loved. Please know I think of you and Lily every day. Love, always. Mom. Emily stared at the letter for a long time. The words blurred behind a sudden veil of tears. She didn't remember her mother much. Just flashes of floral perfume, a high laugh, a shadow in the hallway whispering goodbyes in the dark. Her father never spoke ill of Monica, but he never spoke much at all. This letter, though, it cracked something open. A wound she thought had already scarred. Or maybe one she never admitted was still bleeding. She wondered, had her father read it and chosen not to give it to her? Had Rachel known? Anger flared, quickly replaced by confusion. Was it protection? Or control? She folded the letter carefully and placed it on her nightstand. That night, as snow fell quietly outside the window, she lay in bed staring at the ceiling, listening to Lily's gentle breathing in the bed across the room. So many emotions swirled inside her. Sorrow, guilt, longing. But above all, curiosity. Who was Monica now? Why had she written only one letter? The next morning, over warm pancakes, Emily looked up from her plate and met Rachel's eyes. Did you ever read a letter from my mom? Rachel froze for a moment, spatula in hand. Then she nodded slowly. Yes, she said quietly. Your dad showed it to me. He didn't know what to do with it. He thought it would confuse you. Maybe hurt you more. So, he hid it away. Emily's heart sank, even though part of her had expected it. And you? Did you agree? Rachel sat down across from her. Her face was gentle, but her voice steady. I didn't. But I also didn't want to go behind his back. He was trying to protect you in the only way he knew how. Emily looked down. I'm not mad. Rachel reached across the table and placed her hand over Emily's. I wouldn't have kept it from you if it had been up to me. Emily nodded, then whispered. She said she thinks about me. About Lily. Too. Rachel smiled softly. I believe that. And for the second time in her life, Emily chose to believe in a mother she barely remembered. But this time, it didn't mean loving Rachel less. It just meant making space for truth, for forgiveness, and maybe someday, for another kind of healing. Chapter 3. A Home with 3 Hearts. The following week passed in quiet contemplation for Emily. Every night, she would unfold the letter from Monica and read it again. Not because the words changed, but because she was changing. The girl who had once locked away all thoughts of her birth mother was now learning to carry the memory differently, not as a wound, but as a question still seeking its answer. Lily, on the other hand, remained blissfully unaware. At 6 years old, her world revolved around bubble baths, sticker books, and what cereal she'd eat next. But Emily knew that eventually, Lily would also have questions she might not be ready for. One Saturday morning, the 3 of them gathered in the kitchen for their usual pancake ritual. Rachel hummed along to an old radio tune while flipping pancakes. Lily danced around in fuzzy socks, spinning to the rhythm like a miniature ballerina. Emily watched them, a small smile tugging at the corner of her lips. For all the things she had lost, this moment was something she could hold on to. Lily, Emily said suddenly, as her little sister spun toward the table. Do you remember, Mom? The spinning stopped. Lily blinked. You mean Mommy, Rachel? Emily hesitated. No, I mean our first mom, Monica. Rachel, still at the stove, grew still. The sizzling of batter filled the silence. Lily shrugged. Not really. I remember one time she gave me a red coat. But I was really little. I think I peed on it. Emily laughed despite herself. You did. Dad was so mad. Rachel turned around, holding a plate of pancakes. I remember that coat. I donated it to Goodwill after it wouldn't come clean. They all laughed, even Rachel. But the lightheartedness slowly gave way to something more serious. Emily pushed her plate away and said, I found a letter. From her. She wrote to me years ago. Said she thinks about us. Rachel set the syrup down and sat at the table, her eyes kind. Did you want to talk about it? Emily nodded. I want to meet her. Lily's fork paused midair. You mean like, go to Seattle? Emily looked to Rachel for support. Maybe not right away. I don't even know if she'd want to. But I want to write back. I want to ask her why. Why she left. Why she stayed away. Rachel nodded slowly, her expression unreadable. You have every right to, she said. I'll help you if you want. Emily blinked. You would. I'm not here to erase your past. Emily, Rachel said gently. I'm here to walk with you through it, if you'll let me. Lily's brow furrowed. Will she try to take us away? Rachel reached out and took Lily's small hand. No one can take away the love we share, sweetie. Families don't work like that. Emily smiled at Lily. We're not choosing between people. We're making room in our hearts. That's what grown-ups do. I guess. That afternoon, Emily sat at her desk with a blank sheet of paper before her. Her pen hovered above it for several minutes before she finally began to write. Dear Monica, thank you for your letter. I wish I'd read it when I was younger, but maybe I wasn't ready. I'm not sure I'm ready now either, but I'm trying. I want to understand. I want to know what happened. I want to hear your side, not because I need to rewrite the past, but because I want to walk into the future with both eyes open. Lily doesn't remember much. I guess that's a blessing. But I do. I remember a little girl waiting at the door, thinking her mom would come back with balloons. And I remember that she never did. I think I'm ready to forgive you for that. But I need to know who you are now. If you still want to talk, write me back. No pressure. Just honesty. Sincerely. Emily. She sealed the letter and placed it in the mailbox the next morning. That night, after tucking Lily into bed, Emily passed by the living room and paused. Rachel was sitting on the couch with a mug of tea, a book unopened in her lap, and a soft, tired look on her face. Hey, Emily said. Can I sit with you? Rachel patted the cushion beside her. Always. They sat side by side in silence for a while. Then Emily said, almost in a whisper, do you ever get scared? That she'll come back and I'll stop needing you. Rachel turned, her expression warm and unwavering. No, because needing someone isn't what makes a family. Choosing them is. Emily rested her head on Rachel's shoulder. I'm glad I chose you. Rachel's voice trembled. Me too. The house was quiet. The past was still complicated. The future was still uncertain. But here and now, in the home they built with care and courage, there were 3 hearts beating in harmony, learning, hurting, loving. Together. Chapter 4. Shadows from Seattle. It took 12 days for Monica's reply to arrive. Emily found the envelope waiting on the hallway table, where Rachel had gently placed it after bringing in the mail. The return address confirmed it, Seattle. The handwriting was unmistakable, a graceful cursive that Emily now recognized as her birth mother's. She didn't open it right away. Instead, she sat with it for hours, turning it over in her hands like a delicate artifact. What did she want to hear? What did she fear? She wasn't sure. But when night fell and Lily had gone to sleep, Emily finally locked her bedroom door, sat by the window, and opened the letter. Dear Emily, when I saw your name on the envelope, I cried for 10 minutes straight. I didn't know if you'd ever want to hear from me. I told myself a million times you'd hate me, and I wouldn't blame you. I hated me for a long time too. Why did I leave? That's the question you deserve an answer to. The truth is, I was 23. I had no job, no money, and postpartum depression that swallowed me whole. Your father tried to help, but he didn't know how. I became a ghost in that house. I started resenting everything, him, the crying, the silence, the responsibility. One morning, I left to buy diapers and never came back. I was a coward, Emily. Not because I left, but because I stayed gone. Your father never blocked me. He just gave up trying to bring me back. And when I found out he had remarried, I thought maybe you had a better life without me. I convinced myself I was doing you a favor by disappearing. But I've never stopped loving you. When I wrote that letter 9 years ago, it was a desperate attempt to reconnect. I never knew if it reached you. I thought maybe your dad burned it, or threw it away, or left. But now I know you held on to it. You gave me this chance. And for that, I'm more grateful than words can say. I'm not here to demand anything. I don't expect a second chance to be your mother. I just want to be honest. And if you're willing, I'd love to meet you. Just once. On your terms. No expectations. Love. Monica. Emily finished reading and sat still for a long time. Her hand, holding the letter, slowly lowered to her lap. The letter didn't make everything right, but it was honest. It carried no manipulations, no excuses beyond what felt human. And that, more than anything, shook Emily. She didn't know if she could forgive Monica, not yet. But she could admit this. Monica was no longer a villain in the shadows of her memory. She was just a broken person who had once run away and now wanted to crawl back, not for redemption, but for truth. That weekend, Emily asked Rachel if she could talk. They sat on the porch, wrapped in blankets. A soft rain fell around them, the kind that made the world feel quieter. She wants to meet, Emily said, her voice barely above a whisper. Rachel was silent for a long moment. And how do you feel about that? I'm scared, Emily admitted. But I think I need to see her face. Hear her voice. Just once. Rachel nodded. Then you should. Emily turned to her. You're not angry? Rachel looked genuinely surprised. Why would I be? Because I'm choosing to see her. Because I'm curious about her. Rachel reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind Emily's ear. Emily, you don't stop loving someone just because you love someone else too. Your heart isn't a pie you divide. It's a garden. You grow more room when you need to. Emily felt her eyes sting. I don't want her to replace you. She couldn't, Rachel said gently. Because you didn't just choose me once. You choose me every day. And I choose you. A few days later, Emily wrote another letter. Monica, thank you for being honest. I won't pretend your words didn't hurt, but I'm grateful for them. I would like to meet. Just once, for now. I want to see who you are. I want to ask questions you may not have answers to. I want to know if we can find some kind of peace, not just for me, but for you too. Let's meet in Portland. There's a cafe near the library downtown called Violet and Finch. It's quiet. Safe. I'll be there next Saturday at 2 p.m. Emily. She sealed the envelope and walked it to the mailbox herself. Her heart beat fast, but she didn't hesitate this time. Back inside, she found Lily sitting on the floor coloring. Lily asked without looking up, what's it like to have two moms? Emily paused, then smiled softly. It's like having one that gave you life and one that gave you everything else. Lily blinked. That sounds like a lot. It is, Emily said, kneeling beside her. But I think I'm strong enough now to hold both. And for the first time, she believed it. Chapter 5. The Woman Behind the Window. The cafe sat on a quiet corner of downtown Portland, nestled between a bookstore and a florist that always smelled like jasmine and dust. Violet and Finch was painted soft blue with large glass windows that revealed warm wood interiors and tiny potted violets on each table. The kind of place that felt safe. It was 1:56 p.m. when Emily arrived. She wore a soft gray sweater and jeans, her hair pulled into a loose braid. In her hand was a small notebook, not because she planned to write, but because she needed something to hold. Something solid. The hostess smiled and gestured to an empty booth near the window. Emily nodded and sat, her back straight, her heart pounding like a war drum. She ordered a chamomile tea she didn't plan on drinking. At 2:02, the bell above the cafe door jingled. Emily looked up. She recognized her immediately. Monica Hayes hadn't changed as much as she expected. Her hair was longer, darker, but still curled at the ends the way Emily vaguely remembered from childhood. Her eyes, green like Emily's own, scanned the room before they locked with hers. She approached slowly, her hands clutching her purse, as if afraid it would fall apart. "Emily," she asked, her voice uncertain. Emily stood up and nodded. "Hi." Monica smiled, tentative and small. "Thank you for coming." They sat down across from each other, the silence heavy but not suffocating. Just full of everything unspoken. The waitress returned with Monica's coffee, giving them space. Monica stirred in cream with a hand that trembled. "I wasn't sure you'd really come," she said softly. "I wasn't sure either," Emily admitted. A pause. Then Monica looked at her, eyes glistening. "You look just like your father." Emily's throat tightened. "Everyone says that." Monica took a shaky breath. "I'm not here to make excuses. I know I don't deserve forgiveness." Emily didn't respond right away. She studied the woman in front of her. Her birth mother. A stranger who once sang lullabies. A ghost who'd walked out the door and never turned back. But now, here she was. "Why didn't you ever try harder to come back?" Emily asked. "You wrote one letter. And then nothing." Monica winced. "Because I was afraid. I thought it would be selfish. I thought you'd be better without me. And if I reached out more, I'd just keep tearing the wound open." "You were wrong," Emily said, her voice quiet but firm. "Because the wound never closed. I just learned how to hide it." Monica's eyes brimmed with tears. "I am so sorry, Emily. I failed you. I failed both of you." They sat in silence again, the air between them heavy with sorrow and truth. Then, gently, Monica reached into her bag and pulled out a small worn object, an old Polaroid. She slid it across the table. It was a picture of Emily and Lily at ages 3 and 1, sitting in Monica's lap on a faded couch. Monica looked younger, tired, but she was smiling wide, holding them like the world would end if she let go. "I kept this in my wallet every day for the past 15 years, she said. "It's the only thing that ever stayed with me." Emily traced the edges of the photo with her fingers. "I don't know what I want from you," she said after a moment. "I don't even know if I want anything. But I needed to see you. To know you were real. Not just a story Dad never told." Monica nodded. "That's more than I thought I'd ever get." They talked for nearly an hour. Not easily, not gracefully, but honestly. Monica told her about the recovery center she'd gone to 5 years ago. About the therapy. The late nights crying on the floor. About how she had learned to live with guilt, but never learned to stop loving her daughters. Emily listened. And while forgiveness didn't rise quickly in her heart, something else did, recognition. Of pain. Of remorse. Of humanity. As they stood to leave, Monica hesitated. "Would it be okay if, someday, I met Lily?" Emily hesitated, then said, "Maybe. Not now, but maybe." Monica smiled and nodded. "I'll wait. However long it takes." As Emily walked out of the cafe, the afternoon sun peeked through the clouds, casting golden streaks across the sidewalk. The cold air bit at her cheeks, but it felt cleaner. Lighter. Rachel was waiting in the car around the corner, just like they'd agreed. As Emily climbed in, Rachel looked over with concern. "How did it go?" Emily didn't speak for a moment. Then she looked out the window and said, "She's not the monster I made her in my head. But she's not a mother to me yet either. Maybe never. Rachel nodded gently. And how do you feel? Emily glanced at her and gave a small, tired smile. Like I finally stopped chasing a shadow. Rachel reached over and squeezed her hand. That night, Emily wrote in her notebook, the one she hadn't used during the meeting. I didn't go to reclaim the past. I went to reclaim my own story. And in doing that, I found the strength to keep building the family I already have. Chapter 6. A Crack in the Glass. 3 days had passed since the meeting at Violet and Finch. But Emily still replayed it in her mind like an old film reel. Every blink, every word, every tremble in Monica's voice echoed long after the moment had passed. She didn't tell Lily about it, at least. Not yet. And Rachel, true to her word, never pried. But on the 4th day, everything changed. It started with something simple, a broken window. Rachel was out running errands. Lily was at school. Emily had just come home from campus and was placing her backpack by the door when she noticed the shattered glass near the kitchen. The side window, barely above eye level, was cracked open. Shards on the floor. Her heart jumped. She stepped closer. No sign of forced entry. Nothing missing. But a chill ran through her spine. Someone had been there. Rachel arrived 10 minutes later to find Emily staring silently at the damage, arms crossed tightly over her chest. Emily? Rachel asked, setting the grocery bags down slowly. Emily pointed. The window. I didn't do it. Rachel examined it, her eyes narrowing. Looks like someone tried to push it open. Emily's voice lowered. There's no footprints. No broken lock. Just glass. Rachel looked around the kitchen, her instincts sharp. Let's check the rest of the house. They moved room to room, careful, tense. Everything else appeared untouched. Still, the sense of violation lingered. They called the police. An officer came, examined the scene, and filed a report. Could be a random attempt, he said. Someone looking for quick entry. Happens more than you'd think. Rachel nodded, thanked him, and locked every door twice that night. But Emily couldn't sleep. Not because of the window, but because of a single question burning in her mind. What if this wasn't random? That night, she pulled out Monica's last letter, reread the words again, and wondered, was this about her? 2 days later, the answer came. Emily received a message on social media from a stranger. The profile was private. No photo. Just a name. Miriam S. The message was short. You think she's innocent? Ask her what she did to her own sister. Ask her why she really left. Emily stared at the screen, her pulse racing. Sister? She didn't know Monica had one. Her father never mentioned any of Monica's family. She showed Rachel the message that evening. Rachel read it twice, frowning. This account's hidden. Could be a troll. But what if it's not? Emily whispered. Rachel hesitated. Emily, some truths don't heal. They only dig deeper. I know, Emily said. But I need to dig. The next day, Emily went to the public records office during her lunch break. She requested access to Monica Hayes' birth records, using the basic details she had from Monica's letters. There it was. Monica Lynn Hayes, born Seattle, 1979. Sibling, Miranda Sue Hayes, born 1981. Miranda, Miriam. The similarity in names struck her like lightning. She searched online for Miranda Sue Hayes and found nothing. Not at first. But when she filtered through newspaper archives, she found an article, dated 15 years ago. A small paragraph, buried in the back section of a local Seattle paper. Local woman Miranda Hayes hospitalized following domestic altercation with her sister, Monica Hayes. Sources confirm alcohol and mental health concerns contributed to the incident. No formal charges filed. Emily froze. Was this what Monica had meant by not strong enough? What else hadn't she said? She printed the article and brought it home. That night, she sat at the kitchen table and handed it to Rachel. Rachel read in silence. Then she set the paper down and said, "You need to ask her. You need to give her the chance to explain." The next day, Emily sent Monica a short message. "Who is Miranda?" Monica replied within an hour. "Where did you hear that name?" Emily typed. "That's not the question I asked." "Who is she?" There was no reply for 4 hours. Then finally, a new message appeared. "She's my sister. She's why I left. I was afraid of myself. I thought I'd end up hurting you the way I hurt her." Emily's heart clenched. Late that night, Rachel found Emily in the kitchen again, pale, tired, eyes brimming with something deeper than sadness. "She had a sister," Emily said softly, "and she hurt her. And she never told me." Rachel sat down across from her. "Are you afraid that means she might hurt you too?" Emily shook her head. "No. I'm afraid she already has. Not with fists. With silence. With secrets." Rachel didn't try to explain it away. She only said, "Even the strongest people can break when they carry too much alone." Emily looked up. "How do I forgive someone for hiding what I didn't even know I needed?" "You don't," Rachel said gently. "Not until you're ready. Forgiveness isn't the first step. Sometimes it's the last." Emily nodded, eyes closing briefly. "I don't know where to go from here." Rachel stood, walked over and wrapped her arms around her. "Then start here," she whispered. "With the people who never left." Chapter 7, When Silence Speaks Loudest. For days after discovering the truth about Miranda, Emily said very little. She went through the motions, woke up, went to class, answered Lily's cheerful questions, smiled at Rachel over dinner, but inside, something had quieted. It wasn't anger. Not quite. More like the sinking weight of disappointment. She had asked for honesty. Monica had given her pieces, but withheld the darkest part. And now, those missing pieces cast out over everything else. The silence wasn't just between her and Monica anymore. It had seeped into the cracks of her heart. Even music, usually her refuge, felt hollow. Every note echoed with questions. What else don't I know? What else did she hide? One rainy afternoon, Emily sat by the living room window, watching drops race down the glass. Lily was at piano lessons. Rachel was baking in the kitchen, humming faintly. "Emily," Rachel called gently, "you okay?" Emily turned. "I don't know." Rachel wiped her hands on a dish towel and sat beside her. "It's okay not to be," she said. "It's also okay to not know what to do with the truth." Emily nodded. "I wanted her to be good, flawed, sure, but safe. You know, I do. But now I can't unsee that article. I can't unhear what she did. And she didn't even tell me herself. I had to find it." Rachel was quiet for a long moment. "Have you asked her to tell the full story?" Emily hesitated. "No. I don't know if I can handle it." Rachel placed a hand gently over Emily's. "Maybe you don't have to. Not all at once. But people aren't made of just one choice, Emily. She's not just the woman who left, or the one who returned. She's both. And more." Emily looked out the window again. "I don't want to hate her." "You don't," Rachel said simply. "If you did, you wouldn't be hurting." That night, Emily opened her notebook again. She didn't write a letter. She wrote questions. "Did you and Miranda ever speak again? What happened that night? Were you trying to protect us, or protect yourself? Are you still scared of who you were? Are you still that person?" She didn't send them. Not yet. The next day, a package arrived. It was addressed to Emily, but the sender was anonymous. No note. Just a small white box with delicate handwriting. Rachel watched as Emily opened it, cautious. Inside was a single item, a silver locket on a thin chain. Emily opened it to find 2 miniature photos inside. On the left, a toddler-aged Emily grinning with 2 missing teeth. On the right, a young woman she didn't recognize at first. Then she realized it was Miranda. She could see Monica in her eyes. And tucked beneath the locket, folded neatly, was a small note. "I didn't tell you because I was ashamed. I still am. But Miranda and I have spoken since. She forgave me before I ever forgave myself. This locket was hers. She told me I should give it to you because she believes second chances aren't just for me. They're for you too. I'm not asking for trust. Only space to grow. Monica. Emily pressed the locket into her palm. The metal was warm from her touch. Not heavy, but not light either. Just real. She stood, walked quietly to the kitchen, and handed the note to Rachel. Rachel read it, then looked up. What are you thinking? I think, Emily whispered. I want to hear her voice. They spoke that night. Over the phone. No video. Just voice. Emily sat in the hallway, hugging her knees, as Monica's voice cracked through the receiver. I don't know how to say it all, Monica said. Then just start somewhere. There was a long pause. She and I were close. Like twins almost. I used to take the blame for her in school. She protected me from our parents when they fought. We were a team. Until one day. We weren't. What happened? We got into an argument. She called me selfish. Said I never took responsibility for anything. That I was using my kids to play house with a man I didn't even love anymore. And I hit her. The silence stretched long and sharp. I didn't think, Monica continued. It was one moment. One hand. But that's all it took. 1 second to destroy 20 years. Emily's voice was cold. And then you walked out on us, too. I know. I was afraid I was broken. Afraid I'd do to you what I did to her. So I ran. Emily's throat tightened. And when we needed you most, you stayed gone. I will regret that every day of my life. Another long pause. Then, softly, Emily said, thank you for telling me. Monica's breath caught. That's more than I deserve. I didn't say I forgive you. I know. But I'm listening now. And that's something. When the call ended, Emily stepped into the living room. Rachel looked up from the couch. How was it? Emily sat down beside her. She didn't lie. Not this time. Rachel smiled faintly. That matters. Emily leaned her head on Rachel's shoulder. It doesn't fix everything, she whispered. But maybe it doesn't have to. Rachel wrapped an arm around her. Some cracks never vanish, she said. But light can still get through. Outside, the rain had stopped. And somewhere in Seattle, a woman sat holding her phone, hoping, for the first time in years, that silence wouldn't return. Chapter 8. Letters Never Sent. The following week, Emily began to write again, not with the intention to send, but to release. Pages filled her notebook. Not with perfect sentences, but with unfinished thoughts, memories half remembered, and questions she didn't expect answers to. These weren't letters to Monica. They were letters to herself. To the girl who waited by the window on her 7th birthday, asking if Mommy would show up. To the girl who learned how to hide pain behind sarcasm in middle school. To the young woman who now sat in silence, holding a locket that didn't belong to her, but somehow did. Rachel noticed the shift. Not a dramatic one, but real. Emily's voice grew steadier at dinner. She started playing the piano again, soft melodies at first, hesitant notes that slowly formed into full songs. Lily didn't understand the details, but she understood the change. Emily's not so gray anymore, she whispered one night while Rachel tucked her in. Rachel smiled. No, she's not. She's learning her colors again. On a quiet Thursday afternoon, Rachel brought home a small, square package. It had Monica's name on it. She sent something again, Rachel said, placing it gently on Emily's desk. But I can hold on to it if you're not ready. Emily stared at it for a moment. No, I want to see. Inside was a small leather-bound journal and a folded note. I've started writing too. Not because I know what to say, but because I need to find a way to say it. This journal has pieces of me I never shared, stories, thoughts, even the first lullaby I ever wrote for you. You probably don't remember it, but it used to help you fall asleep. I'm not asking you to read it today or tomorrow, but maybe one day you will. And when you do, I hope you'll find a version of me that isn't just made of mistakes. Love, Monica. Emily didn't read the journal that day. Instead, she placed it on her shelf next to her own notebook. 2 books. 2 stories. 2 women learning how to tell the truth, even if it hurt. Days passed, then a week. On the first warm morning of spring, Rachel suggested a short trip outside the city. Just the 3 of them, her, Emily, and Lily. We need fresh air, she said, and Lily wants to see waterfalls. They drove an hour out to Multnomah Falls, packed peanut butter sandwiches, and a thermos of hot chocolate. The trail was still muddy from melted snow, but the sky was open and the trees smelled like possibility. At the bridge overlooking the cascade, Lily leaned over the edge and shouted, "I'm flying." Emily smiled. For the first time in months, she felt something uncoil inside her chest. They sat together near the base of the falls. Rachel passed out sandwiches. Lily, her mouth full, asked, "Can we go camping next time?" "We'll see," Rachel chuckled. Emily took a breath. "Hey, can I tell you something?" Rachel looked up. "Of course." "I started writing again," Emily said. "Not just journaling. Letters. To myself. To her." Rachel waited. "Anne, I think I want to send one." "Are you sure?" "No," Emily said truthfully. "But I think I want to try." That night, after Lily had gone to bed, Emily sat down with a fresh sheet of paper. Her fingers trembled only slightly as she began. "Dear Monica, I don't know if I'm ready to forgive everything. I don't even know if I'll ever get there. But I think I'm beginning to understand you. And maybe that's a start. Thank you for telling me the truth. It hurt, but I'd rather live with the ache of truth than the comfort of lies. I'm still healing, but I'm also still here. And somehow, so are you. Emily." She sealed the envelope and left it on the table. In the morning, she handed it to Rachel. "Will you mail this?" Rachel smiled gently, pride in her eyes. "Of course." Then she added, "You've come a long way, Emily." "I'm not done yet," Emily replied. "No," Rachel agreed, "but healing never finishes. It just deepens." That weekend, Emily placed Monica's journal in her bag and walked to the park by herself. She sat under a tree in the early light of spring and opened the first page. The first thing she saw was a drawing, a clumsy sketch of 2 little girls holding hands. Underneath it, a line was written in shaky cursive. "I lost you once. I hope I never do again." Emily held the page close, and for the first time, her tears came freely, not from grief, not from guilt, but from release. Because healing doesn't always come in one beautiful moment. Sometimes, it comes in letters never sent, and in the courage to finally send one. Chapter 9. A Mother's Trial. Spring in Portland was unpredictable. Rain would fall without warning, then vanish into bursts of golden sun. In a way, Emily thought it was like her relationship with Monica, unsettled, uneven, yet carrying moments of sudden warmth. It had been 2 weeks since she sent her letter. She hadn't expected a reply so soon, but one came, this time not through mail, but in the form of a phone call. Rachel handed her the phone one evening, mouthing softly, "It's her." Emily hesitated, then took the receiver and stepped into the hallway. Her voice was quiet. "Hello." On the other end, Monica exhaled shakily. "Emily, thank you for your letter." Emily's grip tightened on the phone. "You got it." "I read it 3 times, Monica said, her voice fragile. Each time felt like a gift I didn't deserve." "I didn't write it to make you feel better," Emily replied. "I wrote it so I could breathe again." "I know," Monica said. "And you gave me that breath too, just by letting me in." They were quiet a moment. Then Monica said, "I want to come clean about everything. Not just Miranda. Not just the past. I want to give you every truth you ask for. even the ugly ones. Emily didn't respond immediately. Then she said, "Why now?" "Because this time," Monica answered, "I'm choosing to stay, not disappear." The following Saturday, Monica came to visit. She didn't come alone. She brought a lawyer. At first, Emily was alarmed until she realized Monica wasn't filing anything. She was preparing for something else entirely. A court statement. "I'm pressing formal charges against myself," Monica said quietly as they sat in the living room. "From the night I hurt Miranda." Emily stared. "That was 15 years ago." "I know. But the system never forced me to take responsibility. Miranda forgave me, but I never faced what I did. Not legally. Not in front of a judge." "Why now?" "Because healing demands accountability," Monica said. "And I want you to know I'm not just saying sorry, I'm proving it." Rachel, sitting nearby, watched Monica with measured eyes. "It's a bold thing," she said, "but painful. I owe it to my sister, and to Emily, and to myself." The hearing was set in Seattle. It wasn't a trial, just a court appearance to document the incident and Monica's confession. But for Monica, it was everything. A declaration that silence was no longer her shelter. She asked Emily if she would attend. "I won't ask you to speak," she said. "Just to be there. Just once." Emily didn't answer that night. Instead, she walked to her room and opened the old journal Monica had sent weeks before. She flipped past the stories, the lullaby lyrics, the memories. Near the back, she found a page titled, "What I Never Told You." And she read, "I think about your first day of school. I think about your first piano recital. I wasn't there for either. But I sat in a cafe 2 blocks away, watching from the window as your dad took your hand and walked you in. I stayed outside because I didn't believe I belonged. And I regret it more than any choice I've made." The day of the hearing arrived with gray skies and soft drizzle. Emily chose a navy coat, simple earrings, and tied her hair back. Rachel offered to come, but Emily shook her head. "I think I need to do this alone." She took the early train to Seattle. At the courthouse, she found Monica standing outside the door with Miranda. Miranda had short cropped hair, steel gray eyes, and a quietness in her posture that echoed resilience. She glanced at Emily and gave a nod. "Hi," she said. "Hi. You look like your mom used to," Miranda said. Before all the brokenness, Emily didn't know how to respond, so she just nodded. They sat together on the court bench. Monica's voice quivered when she stood before the judge. She recounted the night she hit her sister. The shouting, the anger, the shame. "I never apologized to the law," she said. "Only to my sister. But some things shouldn't just be forgiven privately." The judge listened quietly, then issued a symbolic judgment: community service, therapy continuation, and an official entry on public record. No jail time. No fine. Just the truth. Finally written in ink. When Monica stepped down, she looked to Emily. "I didn't do this to win your love," she said softly. "Only to stop hiding." Emily stepped forward and hugged her. It was brief, but real. "I see you now," Emily whispered. "And maybe one day I'll trust what I see." That night, on the train ride home, Emily looked out the window as the landscape blurred past. In her lap sat Monica's journal, and beside it, a new one she had just bought. Blank. Untouched. Waiting. When she got home, Rachel was waiting by the door. "You okay?" she asked. Emily smiled faintly. "Yeah, actually. I think I am." She held up the new journal. "I'm ready to start my own story now." Rachel pulled her into a hug. "Then let it be yours." Every page. Chapter 10. A new page. The first entry in Emily's new journal was simple. This time, "I write not to remember the pain, but to remember the healing." She closed the book with a quiet smile, her fingers resting gently on the cover. Outside, the trees swayed under spring wind, their branches shedding the last remnants of winter. For the first time in years, Emily didn't feel like she was clinging to broken roots. She was growing new ones. The following Sunday, Rachel surprised both girls with a small celebration. Nothing big, just homemade lemon cake, warm cocoa, and hand-painted place cards at the table that read "Fresh Starts." Lily tilted her head. "Why does mine say, fresh start?" "I didn't do anything," Rachel grinned, cutting the cake. "Because we all get one, whether we think we need it or not." Emily laughed and shook her head. "You're so corny." But the truth nestled in her chest like a quiet warmth. She was starting over. Not by forgetting, but by choosing what to carry and what to leave behind. Later that week, Emily received a letter in the mail. Handwritten. No return address. It was from Miranda. "Emily, you didn't owe me your presence in that courtroom, but you gave it anyway. And that told me more about your character than any apology your mother ever could. People ask me why I forgave Monica. The truth is, I didn't do it for her. I did it for me. Anger was eating me alive, and letting go gave me back my own reflection. I hope one day you'll forgive in a way that frees you too. Not because Monica deserves it, but because you do. And if you ever want to talk, not as her daughter, but as a woman finding her voice, I'm here. With strength. Miranda." Emily folded the letter and placed it in her new journal. Somewhere inside her, a long-held breath finally released. In the days that followed, the house felt lighter. "Lily," now sensing the emotional change in the air, asked Rachel, "Is everything okay now?" Rachel pulled her close. "Everything's becoming okay. That's even better." Emily, standing in the doorway, watched them for a moment before stepping in. "Lily," she said, "do you want to write a letter with me?" "To who?" Emily thought for a second. "To the future." Lily giggled. "Like time travel?" "Exactly." They sat down together at the dining table. Emily passed her a crayon and a sheet of paper. She herself pulled out a fresh page from her journal and began. "Dear future me, by now, I hope you've let go of the guilt. I hope you've learned to keep love and pain in the same room and not be afraid. I hope you still visit the park in spring, and I hope your laugh comes easier. Most of all, I hope you remember this. Your story didn't begin with who left. It began the moment you chose to stay, with yourself, with those who stayed for you, and with the truth. You are not her shadow. You are your own sun." That night, Emily took the locket Monica had given her and placed it next to a photo of the three of them, her, Rachel, and Lily, laughing at the waterfall. She didn't hide the locket. She didn't display it either. It simply belonged. Just like Monica's truth. Just like her own. Chapter 11. The door half open. Spring edged toward summer in Portland with a quiet beauty, dogwoods blooming along the sidewalks, and laughter from children returning to parks after months of rain. Life outside was waking up. Inside, Emily was too. She had begun volunteering at a local community center twice a week, helping younger students with reading and homework. The children called her Miss Emily in sing-song voices, and each time she heard it, she felt both older and freer. It was the first time she'd given herself to something without obligation. Rachel noticed the difference. "You've got to shine again," she said one evening while Emily chopped vegetables. "The kind people carry when they stop surviving and start living." Emily gave her a crooked smile. "That poetic wisdom, did you get that from a therapy podcast?" Rachel smirked. "No, I got it from watching you." Still, not everything felt settled. One warm Thursday afternoon, as Emily was shelving books at the center, a boy named Javier asked innocently, "Do you live with your real mom, or your pretend one?" Emily blinked. "I mean," he added quickly, "I have a fake uncle. He's not really my uncle, but I call him that. Is your mom like that?" It wasn't meant as harm, but it knocked something loose inside her. "I live with the mom who raised me," she replied gently. Javier nodded, satisfied. "That's the good kind." That night, Emily sat on her bed, staring at the two journals stacked on her desk. One hers, one Monica's. And she realized there was still something unfinished. She called Monica the next day. "I want to see you again," she said. "But this time, I want to bring someone." There was a pause. "Lily?" "No," Emily said. "Rachel." The meeting happened on a Sunday morning at a small botanical garden cafe, quiet and surrounded by white roses. Rachel was calm but cautious. Monica, on the other hand, looked like she hadn't slept. "Thank you for coming," Monica said quietly as they all sat. Rachel nodded politely. "I'm here for Emily." There was a silence before Monica said, "You raised her." Rachel looked directly at her. "I loved her." Monica's voice cracked. "I didn't know how." Rachel didn't respond to that. She only waited. Emily spoke up. "I needed you both to be in the same room. Not because I want you to be friends, but because you're both part of who I am. And I need to stop pretending like it has to be either or." Monica's hands shook slightly. "I know I made your life harder." Rachel finally spoke again. "You did." Emily glanced at her, surprised by the bluntness. But Rachel continued, softer now. "You also gave her life. And whether or not you meant to, you gave her back to me when you left." Monica's lips parted. Tears rose in her eyes. "I don't expect your forgiveness." Rachel looked her in the eye. "Good. Because forgiveness isn't something people earn. It's something others give when they're ready. And maybe one day I'll be..." Emily swallowed hard. "But today is a start." The conversation stayed civil, tense, but honest. By the end of it, Monica stood to leave. Before she walked away, she looked at Rachel and said, "Thank you for loving my daughter when I couldn't." Rachel's reply came after a beat. "She's our daughter now, and she gets to decide what that means." On the drive home, Emily sat in the passenger seat quietly. Rachel's hands were relaxed on the wheel. "Are you okay?" she asked. Rachel nodded. "Actually, I am." They turned onto their street just as the sun began to set. The house, modest, familiar, waited for them like an old friend. As Emily stepped out, she realized something. The door between her past and present wasn't shut anymore. It wasn't flung wide open either, but it was cracked. And that was enough. Chapter 12. The Girl in the Mirror. Summer settled gently over Portland, laying golden light across rooftops and warming sidewalks in a way that softened everything it touched. Emily's days moved with a quiet rhythm, mornings volunteering, afternoons reading at the park, evenings helping Lily with puzzles or watching old movies with Rachel. Life felt stable, beautiful, but there was one place Emily couldn't quite settle. Inside herself. Every time she passed a mirror, she paused. Not to check her clothes or hair, but to look at the girl who had been pulled between two mothers. The girl who had spent years trying to hide her wounds behind achievements, sarcasm, silence. The girl who was now slowly rewriting her own story, but didn't always recognize who she was becoming. One Friday afternoon, after walking home from the community center, Emily stood in front of the full-length mirror in her room. She didn't speak. She just stared. And then, without meaning to, she whispered, "Who are you now?" That night, she pulled out her journal and flipped back to the beginning. She reread every page, her fears, her letters, her tentative forgiveness. Then she turned to a blank page and began to write. Not to Monica, not to Rachel, but to the reflection in the mirror. "Dear me, you've survived grief, betrayal, silence, and guilt. You've held secrets that weren't yours. You've loved two mothers in two different ways, and neither love cancels the other out. You're allowed to be soft and angry, gentle and strong, lost and still brave enough to show up. You are not broken. You are becoming." She closed the journal and hugged it to her chest. She didn't cry, but she felt something shift. As if her soul, long clenched, was finally unclenching. The next day, Emily took Lily to the Saturday market. They shared strawberry lemonade and browsed hand-painted pottery, homemade jam, and crocheted animals. Lily was drawn to a small mirror encased in mosaic glass. "This one's pretty," she said, holding it up to Emily. "You should get it." Emily laughed. "What would I use a mirror for?" "To remind you what you look like when you're not sad," Lily answered matter-of-factly. Emily paused, then bought the mirror. That evening, she hung it in her room, right beside the window where the sunset always hit just right. And every morning after that, she stood before it, just for a few seconds. Not to inspect, not to criticize, but to see. A week later, a package arrived. It was from Monica. Inside was a single envelope and a faded photograph. The photo showed a 4-year-old Emily in overalls, holding a dandelion and grinning, hair a wild mess. Behind her, Monica knelt with her arms around her daughter, laughing. On the back, Monica had written, "This is how I remember you, full of light even when I wasn't." The letter read, "Emily, I know you're finding yourself again, and I hope that image, the girl with joy in her hands, helps you see who's always been there beneath the hurt. You don't have to write back. I just wanted to give you one good memory I still had the courage to share. Love, Monica." Emily placed the photo next to her journal. She stared at it for a long time. And then, she did something she hadn't done in years. She laughed. Soft and sudden, not forced, not careful. And when Rachel passed by her door, she paused. Was that a laugh? Emily turned to her, still smiling. "I think so." Rachel leaned in the doorway. "It suits you." Emily stood, walked to the mirror, and looked at her reflection. This time, she didn't just see pieces of the past. She saw a girl growing into her own shape, her own name, her own future. She saw a survivor. She saw a daughter not of one woman or another, but of love, resilience, and choice. She touched the edge of the mirror and whispered, "There you are." Chapter 13. The Bridge to Lily. The summer days stretched longer, and with them, the spaces between Emily and her younger sister grew more noticeable not because of distance, but because of unspoken things. Lily was bright, cheerful, and full of questions. But lately, her questions came wrapped in quiet tones, often asked when no one else was listening. One evening, while they were brushing their teeth, Lily turned to Emily and said, "Why does everyone talk about Monica like she's some secret?" Emily froze for half a second before replying because she kind of was. Lily frowned. "But she's our mom, right? Like, for real?" Emily hesitated. "She gave birth to us. But Rachel raised us." Lily didn't say anything right away. Then she mumbled, "I don't remember her face." "Is that bad?" "No," Emily said quickly. "That's not bad at all." But it was clear Lily was starting to notice the missing parts. The next morning, Rachel poured cereal while Lily scrolled through old family photos on a tablet. Rachel watched quietly as the little girl paused at each image, sometimes squinting, sometimes smiling. "Who took this one?" Lily asked, pointing to a photo of baby Emily with their dad. Rachel peeked over her shoulder. "That might have been Monica." Lily was quiet, then asked the question Emily had feared would come eventually. "Why did she leave us?" Rachel set the spoon down, her fingers tightening briefly. Before she could answer, Emily stepped into the room. "I think I should be the one to tell her," she said softly. Rachel nodded once, eyes full of quiet trust. Then she walked out, leaving the sisters alone at the table. They went for a walk, just the two of them, along the familiar green trail near the neighborhood park. Lily skipped ahead for a bit, then slowed, sensing the heaviness in Emily's silence. "Am I too little to know?" she asked. "No," Emily replied. "You're exactly the right age to start knowing," gently. Lily stared up at her with those soft brown eyes that always seemed too wise for her years. Emily took a breath. "When we were little, Monica wasn't ready to be a mom." She was really sad and scared. And instead of asking for help, she left. Did she stop loving us? Lily asked. No, Emily said. That's the hard part. She didn't stop loving us, she just didn't know how to love us the right way. Some people think love is enough. But love without showing up, without staying. It doesn't feel like love to the people who are left behind. Lily blinked. Is that why you were sad last year? Emily nodded. Yeah. I think I was still waiting for answers. Did you find them? Some, Emily said. Others. I'm still figuring out. Lily stopped walking. Will I get to meet her someday? Emily knelt to her level. Do you want to? Lily paused. I think I do. But only if you're there. Emily felt her throat tighten. Then I'll be there. That evening, Emily sat in her room, holding her journal on her lap. She opened to a new page and wrote, Today. Lily asked about Monica. I didn't know what to say, so I told the truth. The gentlest version I could. And somehow it made the silence smaller between us. Maybe forgiveness isn't always between two people. Sometimes it starts with helping someone else understand the pain you survived and letting them carry only the weight they're ready for. Emily called Monica the next day. She wants to meet you, she said simply. Monica didn't speak right away. Then, her voice barely above a whisper. She remembers me? No, Emily said. But she's ready to. Monica cried softly on the phone. I'll wait until she is. No, Emily said. She's ready now. But it has to be a bridge, not a doorway. You come slowly, step by step. I will. A week later, the meeting was set. A quiet park with a shaded bench under two tall trees. Rachel came too, but stayed at a distance, sitting near the playground. Lily clutched Emily's hand tightly. When Monica arrived, she walked slowly, her expression cautious and open. No makeup. No jewelry. Just a small bouquet of lilies in her hands. She knelt in front of Lily. Hi, she said. I'm Monica. Lily looked at the flowers, then at her sister, then whispered, I know. Monica handed her the bouquet. These are for you. I picked them because your name is Lily. Lily gave a tiny smile. That's my name because Dad said they were Mom's favorite. Monica's voice cracked. They still are. There was no grand reunion. No hugs. No tears. Just three girls sitting on a bench, sharing quiet questions and cautious smiles. But a bridge had begun to form. Not built in haste. Not made of fragile words. But brick by brick, honesty by honesty. And for Emily. Watching Lily ask questions Monica finally answered without fear, she realized something. This wasn't just a reunion. It was the beginning of something Lily had never known. And Emily had never believed was possible. A family rebuilt, not returned. Chapter 14. What healing sounds like. Healing, Emily realized, doesn't arrive with fanfare. It doesn't knock on your door one morning and declare, you're whole now. It comes in fragments, quiet sounds that fill the space where pain used to echo. It sounded like Lily laughing at Monica's awkward attempts to explain what TikTok was. It sounded like Rachel's soft humming while stirring soup in the kitchen. It sounded like the clink of teacups on a table where two women, one who raised, one who gave birth, sat across from each other and learned not to compare, but to coexist. Emily never imagined her life would hold this kind of sound. After the meeting at the park, Monica didn't rush. She didn't try to visit every week or call every night. She sent occasional texts, photos of her garden, silly jokes, or a thinking of you on rainy days. And Lily, once hesitant, began to respond. Short texts at first, then voice messages, then drawings. One afternoon, Rachel passed by Lily's room and found her FaceTiming Monica, showing her a school art project. I made a clay owl, Lily said. It's kind of lopsided. Monica laughed through the screen. Then it's perfect. Rachel stood outside the door for a long moment, tears threatening but never falling. She didn't feel replaced. She felt relieved. A few nights later, Emily stood in the kitchen with Rachel, chopping onions for dinner. "She's not trying to take anything from you," Emily said. Rachel looked over. "I know. But if she ever does." Rachel placed a hand over Emily's. "Sweetheart, I'm not afraid of being forgotten. Because love leaves roots. And you and Lily, you're still standing on the ones we planted." Emily smiled, eyes stinging from both onions and emotion. "You always say the perfect thing." "No," Rachel said, chuckling. "Just the true thing." That weekend, Emily invited both Rachel and Monica to attend Lily's piano recital. It was bold. It was scary. But it was right. They arrived at the school auditorium together, not as rivals. Not even as friends, but as women carrying love for the same children in different ways. Rachel sat on the left, Monica on the right. Emily and Lily waited backstage. "Do you think they'll talk to each other?" Lily asked. Emily shrugged. "Maybe, maybe not." "Is it okay if they don't?" Emily smiled. "It's okay if they never do. You don't need them to love each other. You just need to know they both love you." Lily took a breath. "I think I'm ready." When she stepped onto the stage, the room hushed. Lily sat at the small upright piano, feet barely reaching the pedals. She glanced toward the crowd and smiled when she spotted them. Both mothers. Both watching her like she was the only star in the sky. Her fingers began to move. The melody was soft, imperfect, and full of feeling. She made a few small mistakes, but didn't stop. Emily sat in the front row, her heart full. That music, gentle, searching, real, that was what healing sounded like. Not perfect, not polished, but brave. After the recital, Rachel approached Monica outside in the courtyard. The evening sun painted everything in gold. They didn't speak for a moment, just stood side by side, watching Lily eat a cookie and giggle with her friends. Finally, Rachel said, "She's happy." Monica nodded. "You made that possible." Rachel turned to her. "We did. In very different, very painful ways. But she got here." Monica's eyes shimmered. "I'll never stop being grateful for you." "You don't have to be," Rachel said gently. "Just don't disappear again." "I won't," Monica said, voice steady. "Not ever again." That night, Emily added a final note to her journal for the week. Healing isn't a finish line. It's not a quiet room. It's a chorus of voices. Some trembling, some sure, learning how to sing beside each other. Not always in harmony, but always with intention. That's what love is when it's real. That's what family becomes when it's brave. And somewhere down the hallway, Lily sat at the piano again, playing the same song. This time, slower, softer. And when Emily walked past her door and peeked in, she didn't say anything. She just smiled. Because this was what healing sounded like. Chapter 15, One Room, Two Mothers. There was something sacred about that afternoon. The living room smelled like cinnamon and orange peel, Rachel's idea for a soft Sunday. Lily danced barefoot on the carpet, clutching her stuffed rabbit and humming one of her recital songs. The windows were wide open, letting in sunlight and the sound of wind chimes from the porch. Emily was setting out mugs on the coffee table. 3 of them. Rachel stood by the bookshelf, dusting off old photo albums. Monica, due to arrive in a few minutes, had been invited by Lily. "She should see what we looked like as babies," Lily had said. "And Rachel makes the best cocoa. You don't say no to that." So Monica was coming. For the first time, not to a bench or a public space, but to their home. Emily had spent the whole morning preparing, not cleaning, but breathing. Practicing how to hold space for both women at once. Not just physically, but emotionally. At 3:06 p.m., the doorbell rang. Lily ran to open it before Emily could react. Monica stood there, wearing a pale blue cardigan and holding a small plate of homemade cookies, slightly overbaked, slightly imperfect. "Hi," Monica said, smiling nervously. I brought peanut butter cookies." "I didn't know if Rachel was allergic." "She's not," Lily said, taking the plate. But I'll eat most of them anyway. They laughed. Emily watched from the doorway, her pulse steady. Monica stepped inside, slowly, like someone walking into a church they'd once left behind. She and Rachel locked eyes briefly. No smile. But no tension either. Just two women who had accepted their shared roles, different chapters in the same story. They sat in the living room. Lily curled up beside Rachel on the couch. Monica sat on the armchair, hands cupped around a warm mug. The photo albums opened. First came the baby pictures, chubby cheeks, messy birthday cakes, Emily's first lost tooth. Monica smiled at each one, softly murmuring, "I remember this day," or "that dress was her favorite." Rachel filled in the blanks Monica couldn't. Lily's first steps, Emily's science fair win. The year both girls got the flu and spent a week watching cartoons in a blanket fort. For an hour, they simply remembered. From different angles, through different windows. And Emily? She watched them both. Not comparing, not questioning, just witnessing. At one point, Lily turned to Rachel and asked, "Did you and Monica ever like each other?" Rachel raised an eyebrow. Monica laughed awkwardly. "I don't think we ever knew each other well enough to like or dislike," Rachel said truthfully. Monica nodded. "But we both loved your dad. And now, we both love you and Emily." Lily nodded as if this settled everything. "Then we're like a weird team." Rachel chuckled. "I suppose we are." Monica smiled. "The patchwork kind." Emily looked at them both. Rachel with her steady hands and quiet strength. Monica with her fragile honesty and open wounds. Two mothers. Two truths. And herself somehow no longer torn between them, but rooted in both. That evening, as the sky dimmed and Monica stood to leave, she paused at the door. She turned to Rachel and said, "Thank you for opening your home." Rachel replied, "Thank you for walking through the door." They shook hands. No embrace. But enough. After Monica left, Rachel began tidying up. Emily stayed behind, lingering in the living room. Lily had fallen asleep on the couch, still clutching a photo of the three of them at the falls. The corners were bent, but the smiles in the picture were real. Emily leaned over and kissed her forehead, then turned to Rachel. "Today felt quiet," Emily said. Rachel smiled. "That's what healing feels like sometimes." Emily tilted her head. "Do you think Monica and I will ever have a normal relationship?" Rachel walked over, gently resting her hand on Emily's shoulder. "I think the love that's fought for earned isn't always normal," she said. "But it's real." Emily looked around the room. One couch, one chair, one table, two mothers. And in the center, the space where a girl had once broken and now is slowly, bravely, becoming whole. That night, Emily wrote one final entry for the season. "I no longer ask which mother I belong to. I belong to the moments when they both showed up. To the arms that held me when I couldn't hold myself. To the silence they helped me cross. I am not caught between two women. I am shaped by them. And that, I now know, is not a conflict. It's a gift." One room, two mothers, one daughter, finally home. Chapter 16. The Weight of Choice. The late summer sun filtered through the thin curtains of Emily's bedroom, casting soft shadows on the walls lined with photos and memories. At 23, she was no longer the lost girl staring into mirrors, but a woman learning to balance the complexities of love, forgiveness, and identity. Sitting at her desk, Emily stared at her phone. A message from Monica blinked softly. "Can we talk? I have something important to share." Her heart tightened with a mixture of anticipation and anxiety. She knew that the path toward healing was not a straight line. It twisted with unexpected turns, some welcoming, some painful. Whatever Monica was about to reveal, Emily braced herself, ready to listen, ready to choose. Chapter 17. Truth Beneath the Surface. Emily's fingers trembled slightly as she tapped Monica's number. The phone rang once, twice, then connected. Emily, Monica's voice was softer than usual, almost fragile. "I got your message," Emily said. "What's going on?" There was a pause. Then Monica took a deep breath. "There's something I haven't told you, something from my past that you deserve to know before it comes from someone else." Emily's stomach tightened. "Okay, I'm listening." Monica hesitated, then continued, "Before I had you and Lily, I struggled with addiction. It was a dark time, a part of my life I was ashamed of and tried to hide." Emily swallowed hard. "Why tell me now?" "Because it's a part of who I was, and I want you to know the truth unfiltered. I'm clean now, been sober for over 10 years. But I feared that secret might affect how you see me." Emily was silent. The woman she'd slowly come to know wasn't perfect, no one was. But this confession felt like another step toward real honesty. "Thank you for telling me," Emily said finally. "It doesn't change the fact that you're my mom. It makes me proud that you fought through it." Monica's voice cracked with relief. "That means more than you know." Chapter 18. Bridges forged in truth. The weeks that followed Monica's confession were some of the most challenging yet healing days of Emily's life. Each conversation, each shared memory, chipped away at the walls she had built to protect herself, allowing light and understanding to seep in. One Saturday afternoon, Rachel, Monica, Emily, and Lily gathered around the kitchen table for a simple meal. The air was filled with the aroma of fresh bread and roasted vegetables, but the true warmth came from the tentative smiles and careful conversations. Rachel reached over, placing a gentle hand on Monica's arm. "Thank you for being honest with Emily. That courage is what builds families." Monica nodded, eyes glistening. "And thank you for holding space for me. For all of us." Emily watched the two women, so different yet connected, and felt a profound gratitude. Not for perfection, but for the messy, beautiful truth that was binding them together. Lily, sitting between them, looked up and said, "I think our family is pretty amazing." They all laughed, and for the first time, Emily truly believed in the word family, not as a burden or a fracture, but as a bridge they were building, one honest step at a time. Chapter 19. The quiet strength of forgiveness. The summer days slowly gave way to the crispness of early fall. Emily found herself walking the familiar trails of the park more often, sometimes alone, sometimes with Rachel or Lily. Each step forward felt like a small victory, though the journey was far from over. One afternoon, sitting on a bench beneath towering maples, Emily reflected on the word that had seemed impossible before: forgiveness. It wasn't a single moment of grand mercy, but a quiet strength, a choice to release the heavy burden of resentment and pain. She thought of Monica's courage to confess, of Rachel's unwavering support, and of Lily's innocent laughter that reminded her what love felt like. Emily whispered to herself, "Forgiveness isn't forgetting. It's choosing to carry love instead of bitterness." As the leaves fell around her, she felt a sense of peace settle within, a promise to herself to keep moving, keep healing, keep loving. Chapter 20. Home at last. The sun dipped low over Portland, casting a warm amber glow across the Carter household. The air was filled with the scent of freshly baked apple pie and the faint hum of a familiar melody drifting from the piano. Emily sat beside Lily, their fingers moving gracefully over the keys as Rachel watched from the doorway, a soft smile illuminating her face. Monica stood quietly in the kitchen, preparing tea, the quiet presence of her healing etched into every corner of the room. This was more than a house, it was home. Not because of walls or furniture, but because of the love that had been fought for, earned and nurtured through every tear, every confession, every act of grace. Emily closed her eyes and breathed in deeply. She no longer carried the weight of fractured family ties, but the strength of chosen bonds. Two mothers, both imperfect, both essential, had shaped her into who she was today. With a heart full of gratitude, she whispered into the gentle evening, "I am home.